Then I tried to call the moose in. You got all excited. We had a big bull up on top of a ridge.
And it was still pretty dark. We were just getting going.
And he was a big bull.
Yeah, and he didn't need to be called in any closer.
He was like
8 yards. He didn't need it. He was like, so what are you doing? I'm trying to call him in. I'm like, well, how much more in do they get? He's pretty much in. He was raking a tree just on the other side of the tree from us.
Yep.
Man, I don't.
There's more to hunt. There's more to hunting than killing.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Stickbow Chronicles, brought to you by Blackwidow Bows. I'm Rob Patuto, and this week my guest is a very, very dear friend of mine, my mentor. You may have heard me mention him once in a while, but he owns a little archery shop in Clark Fork, Idaho. His name is Pete Weatherford. Yeah, one of those guys that from the beginning of this podcast was the type of guy that, type of bow hunter that I wanted to highlight. And that is somebody that, it's not a common name to people, but, guy's been getting it done with a single string for decades. And sometimes we look up to people for their persona and what they say they can do. And then other times there's people in our lives that we look up to for what they have done. So pretty excited. It's so much fun to just sit down and do these podcasts face to face. And this is one of those. So before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors, The Footed Shaft, Selway Archery, Kifaru International, and of course Blackwidow Bows. Shirts went flying out the doors. I hope you guys, at times things are changing so fast. I hope everybody's safe, has a job to go to. I don't know what the world will be like that we live in when this thing drops, but be safe, be kind. Enjoy the episode.
So how long you had the shop?
Oh gosh, I think since '95.
No, it had to be earlier than that.
We came back from Alaska in '94, spring of '94, and we started the shop that summer of '94.
92, 93. Yeah, probably 94 is when I met you and Jeannie up at Bonner's, and you guys had a thing on the side of your truck, Airworks.
Was you the guy in the loincloth?
I was the guy that was naked. I got booted.
I can remember some dude was running around in a loincloth.
I know you've talked about that. I just remember those two big, tall, lanky logger kids pulling those 90 and
90-pound longbows.
Frick.
Yeah, I don't see them anymore. I think they split in two.
Man. But you know what? Somebody asked me just the other day, was asking about, had I shot competitive 3D archery. That's a big thing, right? Well, we shot and we competed, but it wasn't competitive. We were just practicing for bow
fun.
Hunting. Yeah, we were just practicing for bow hunting. Today, the guy asked me, well, do you shoot competitive? And when you did you shoot a 3D rig? Nobody had 3D rigs. I mean, we just had a bow that we hunted with.
Yeah. Oh, it's still the same way around here.
So it got me to thinking, who were the top shooters then? And when we went to shoot in the late 90s, who were the top shooters? I mean, there wasn't a pile of people shooting stick bows, but there was enough.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to toot my horn, but
here we go.
I was up there giving you competition.
I would have said Bob Gordon.
Yeah.
And then you.
Yeah.
And then I was picking up whatever the crumbs were left. If you guys didn't show up, I might win something.
Bob was good.
Yeah.
He was the president of a bank.
Was he?
I think so. But, he got sick and passed away. He went there very old. But
well, he was a smoker,
Yes.
Yeah,
he
was varsity level cancer. Smoker.
Yeah, he was. But he was. Anything you want to say about him, he was a heck of a shot. Holy smokes.
A lot of the people that do shoot competitive 3D archery will know his name or what he did, because I think he kind of revolutionized Some target bows with his wharf.
But yeah, he took. Seemed to me he took a riser handle or something and made a recurve out of it.
Yeah.
But he was shooting with all the bells and whistles on it too.
Yeah.
Elevated rest and the whole works. Yeah.
He was, man, when you shot with him, it was a mind game. You could get in his head.
He really got into my head.
Yeah, because he was so damn good.
Yeah. Yeah. The only guy that didn't really bother me was you.
I know, because the more I pressed you, the better you got. So, but Bob Gordon, we got flighted up at Schweitzer one time, and I was flighted in his group. I had shot really well the day before, and I want to say we were like on target 12 or 11 or 12, and I was ahead of him by a point or two.
Oh wow.
And my friggin' string broke.
Oh no.
My string broke. And do you know what I did? Called it good. Everybody's like, we can get you a string, we can get you a string. And I thought, that would be stupid. I'm just going to quit now. And said, yeah, I was ahead of Bob Gordon. And
do you remember that?
Holy crap, here we go.
That bear that was up there, they set that bear out on the edge of that road and it was nothing behind it.
Yeah.
You talk about faking you out. There is more arrows down over that mountain. It was a quarter mile down to the bottom, so nobody went and looked for arrows.
That might be what scarred me to this day. Maybe that's why I can't shoot standing bears. They blow my mind.
And that was a big bear.
Yeah, yeah.
I missed that thing.
You remember remember that sow with 3 cubs while we were setting it up?
Oh yeah.
She was playing in the avalanche shoot. She was there for a couple of days. That was a big sow.
Yeah.
That was a big
sow. That was a fun shoot, but boy, it was a lot of work setting it up and taking it down, and it was a lot of work to shoot it.
Yeah, I don't remember which time. I think we had it up there like 3 or 4 times to shoot.
Yeah.
I remember lightning just hammering the ridge while we were setting that thing up.
You know, it's kind of funny. I've been in Sandpoint most of my life, and when I was in my 20s, 18, 19, 20, archery recurves was big.
Really? Here at local?
Yeah, it must have been about 20 of us. We shot downtown below the old Lions.
What year would that have been?
Oh gosh,
50?
Back in the 50 some.
Yeah.
Up into the 60s.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of faded away. And I kind of see that now on a lot of the 3D shoots. And even here in Sandpoint, our club, here several years ago, we had 140 people at the club. And all of a sudden, everybody just kind of disappeared.
I know that myself and a few others, we kind of backed off when it became all about competition.
Yeah.
It just took a lot of the fun out. We were there to shoot, compete.
Oh, I still had fun regardless.
Yeah, and now, or then it got to where it was like, the main thing was no longer about practicing hunting. It was about how high your score was. Yeah. And that's when I was like, I'm out. So.
I kept at it just because I like to shoot.
Yeah, and the people.
We had a lot of good friends.
Holy smokes, we had
all over Montana, Idaho.
Yeah.
Some of the places we went down into where did they hold a state shoot at? Down at
Stanley.
Stanley.
Yeah.
I finally gave up on that one.
Yeah, that wasn't just traditional. That was a statewide shoot, and the amount of alcohol
the alcohol run me off.
Yeah, it didn't make it fun anymore. And even some of the shoots, that was a problem. I mean, you're there to have fun and enjoy yourself, and when people are drinking till 1 o'clock.
Oh, that happened. Was you up at Libby when that guy, they came in, went downtown Libby and come back in at 2 o'clock in the morning, roaring around the campground, screaming and hollering?
No.
Yeah, he was asked to leave and not come back. It was that crew. Well, there was a crew out of Spokane there.
Well, how about the drunk dude that fell into the lost arrow bucket and drove some freaking
Drove an
knocks.
arrow up in his side there.
Yeah. And then tried to sue the club.
Just missed his kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're here. Yeah.
I had fun. Of all of all the things up at Libby and Moyer and some of these shoots there. I mean, good people.
Well, that's a good one though, because it was me, you, gosh, I'm going to forget names, but there was a small group of us that were stick bow guys. And we had, like Brian and all those guys, Craig, all those guys shot compounds. We were all buddies.
Oh, yeah.
And we all shot together.
Yeah.
But how many of them just through the years picked up a stick bow because, I don't know, they just watched us having so much fun, they wanted to join in?
Yeah.
I mean, we inadvertently brought a lot of people to the ranks just having fun.
Have fun. The thing about a compound, I used to shoot a compound. I know all about them. I work on a lot of them. It's, to me, shooting a compound day after day is boring. Yeah. You go out and put that dot on the target and pull the trigger. Where a recurve, you are competing against yourself all the time. You're striving to get every shot good because when you go hunting, that's what you want. Where, I don't know, a compound, I sell them, the whole works, it just doesn't do it for me.
We're going to get into talking about hunting because that's why we're here, but explain to the people how you shoot. How did you learn how to shoot, and what style would you say you shoot?
I just picked up a bow and started shooting it, and my first bow I made as a kid. I made it out of a juniper limb. I whittled and hacked on that thing. My knife wasn't very sharp, an old rusty knife. And anyway, I did make a bow. I can't even remember what I made. I think I made the string out of balin twine. And the robins, man, the robins were in the cherry tree. I made arrows out of a sliver of wood and put some chicken feathers on them. I'll tell you what, I gave the robins hell.
Did you ever kill them?
Oh, yeah. But that was my beginning, and then
What year would that have been?
Oh, good Lord, I was only 10 or 11 years old.
Were you hanging out with Ishi?
Yeah, just about. I was living in Northern California there. My dad had put us in a foster home, and because he had got divorced and he couldn't take care of us, so time to come, I moved in I went with my aunt and uncle down in Redwoods, and I shot a bow down there. I used to shoot anything that was in the creek that would move. I didn't hunt with it, I just played with it. Then when I moved to
Let me ask you, did you have access to guns at the time? I mean, so it wasn't just that you didn't have anything to shoot.
No, I had a 22 and stuff. Oh, yeah.
Bow.
I just like shooting the bow.
Yeah.
And so then I moved up when I was about 13 or 14, I moved to Idaho in Sandpoint. And that's when I started really shooting a bow. My first bow I bought down at the Pastime, first good bow, was a Damon Howitt.
You remember which model?
No, I don't remember. It was red. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. But they had no camouflage back in that day. You get white or red was pretty much the colors, or green.
Yeah.
And they were out of green. And so I think it was about probably 45 pounds, something like that. I shot that thing and shot it. When I turned 17, I went in the Navy. And so when I come home on leave, I got transferred to a ship, and I put a hitch in. And I really didn't get shoot very much. I came home, there was no work in Sandpoint. People have no idea what...
We're talking mid-60s now?
Yeah, how poor a town could be. So anyway, there's no work, so I went back in the service. When I went back in service, I got transferred to a destroyer. And so I asked, when I went on board, I asked them if I could bring my bow aboard and shoot it. They allowed me to take my bow. I took my bow all through that tour.
No kidding.
I used to shoot down down below decks. He said, yeah, just got to be careful, no problem. I packed that bow around forever.
Still this Damon Howitt?
Same Damon Howitt.
Yeah.
And so I brought it home, and we used to go up here to Lightning Creek, up in the meadows up here, and shoot ground squirrels.
Oh, yeah.
And same bow. And finally one day I hauled that thing back and the limb broke. I couldn't believe it. I was heartbroken. You just don't find a bow like that every day.
Yeah.
So I got another Damon Howitt. And then I was making arrows. When we'd get arrows, knew nothing about spine.
Yeah.
If you could load it up and shoot it, that was a good arrow. So I was working in the body shop with my dad, when I dipped the arrows, I dipped them full, man, and using enamel or lacquer in the shop, and making good wood arrows. And I like the smaller ones, the 5/16. I didn't like them big ones. So and the bow shot them all right. And for years that's what we hunted with. I shot my first deer, a big doe down at Farragut with old wood shafts.
What broadheads were you using?
Oh, bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Just
that's
the
about
blue
the
on
only.
bear. Yeah.
That's about the only broadhead around, really. That
So you're dipping these shafts, probably just using them full length, or
Yep. No, I think I did cut them off a little bit. Yeah. And we knew nothing about building arrows.
yeah. How did you get the glue? How did you get the feathers to stick on the enamel?
It was lacquer actually. It
Okay.
stuck. Yeah, it bonded. It bonded good. And we were still using that Platinum Plus, same thing we're using nowadays.
And so you're hunting with a Damon Howard, and you're hunting that. It was archery only down there at the
Yeah.
state park. There.
Yeah. It was fun. Never killed much. I only killed one deer down there, but man, I did chase him. I had him wore out just from running. But you talk about how do I shoot a recurve? To me, it's just natural. I pick it up and look at the target and pull back and let fly.
Yeah.
The thing I try and tell my customers in the shop, I said, they want to know, how do you sight it? I said, well, I don't sight it. I think some guys string walk and they use their arrow point for putting on their target. I said, the only problem I run into there, I got to know how far it is exactly.
Yeah.
I said, instinctive shooting, you let your brain do the walking.
Yeah.
After you shoot so much, your brain will tell you how far it is. If you don't second guess it, you'll be right close every shot. Long as you just look at it and let fly. I said, you put your finger out like this. And I said, now move it over here. Don't look at it, but you can see it pointing over there 5 feet off the target or over here. I said, same thing when you pull that bow back and look at your target, you can see your arrow. You're seeing it out of your peripheral vision.
So just to give an idea, when you shoot a 300 round, right, the indoor shoots that we do, what do you typically score? What's a high score? What's a average score?
Good score for me, it would be up in the 250s.
Yeah.
And I pretty much average 230s.
Yeah.
I did shoot this last year. After my surgery and stuff, I had to go and get my heart rebuilt.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot to get back in, and I was shooting a 45-pound bow, which took a lot. And I was I started out, my first shoot was 239. And I did make it up to 254.
Nice.
So, man, for me, that's really good. That was
Yeah.
putting it right in there.
Yeah. What's I don't know how to pose this, but we'll get back to that.
The outdoor shoots sometimes did really well up in the 360s. But when I first got started, generally I had a scorecard I could have had printed up for 306. That was my
307.
average. 307. Yeah, somewhere right
guy,
in there.
Yeah. So how do you accuse a guy of cheating because he's got the same damn score day in day out. But it's so hard for people to relate to that because scoring is different, targets are different.
Yeah.
But the shoots that we go to or used to go to, I mean, it wasn't like a 25-yard minimum or average or.
Oh, no.
No, we were shooting 45 yards sometimes into 12 yards. I mean, in varied terrain.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot of steep.
Steep stuff.
Yeah.
You might be shooting at an elk down there at 45 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight down.
Going back to talking about just pointing, I was telling you yesterday, Elijah, he's 13 years old. He doesn't shoot as much as I would like to see him shoot just because I have fun shooting with him. He picks a stinking bow up, that Samick Galaxy that he got from him and Mike are shooting Sunday. He probably hasn't had 100 arrows through that thing in 6 months. And he is hitting stuff that Mike and I are hitting at 40 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at I know he's probably shooting 35 pounds or something, and lobbing those mismatch arrows in. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah.
Have you ever noticed when you're shooting well, you can't miss really?
Oh my gosh.
You just put it up and let her fly. When you really start getting fouled up shooting, to me, traditional is when you overthink it.
Yeah.
When you take and you put your bow up and you start to pull back, and then well, that's a little farther than that.
It's game over. You're gonna
Game
shoot
over.
over.
You've done fouled up, 'Cause that's why I try and tell guys, just let your instinct, let your brain do the walking.
Yeah.
And I said, when you start archery, when you start shooting a recurve, get up here at 5-10 feet. That's where you start at. Till you get used to loading your bow and shooting and pulling it back. Anchor, you got to get on the same anchor. And we all have the same problem. We're trying to find that same anchor every darn time, But after a while, it gets pretty instinctively. And that's important. Then you can start moving back. I have more fun going with Rob out to a shoot and shooting at a deer 70 yards away. That's a 3D shoot, not a real deer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When you start thinking, that's why you stand behind your good buddy and say, you whisper, "Man, I shot that for 35 and I shot under. It's just a little bit further." Or yeah, man, that looks to me about 23 yards. Yeah. Yeah.
The toughest shots to me is shooting straight up.
Yeah.
For some reason, that to me is hard to do. And doesn't make any difference how far it is, it's just hard to do.
Yeah.
Downhill, nothing to it.
Oh, I know, downhill.
Yeah.
That's a good for me. I've always told people my yardage increases a little bit, my effective range increases steep downhill.
Yep.
And I lose it. I lose some steep
When
uphill.
you shot that bull spike that year we went up there, it was a steep downhill.
Yeah.
I know, you put a quarter in my back and told me to go to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Picking on a 60-year-old guy.
You weren't 60 then,
I was.
were you?
Yep.
Do you remember we got done butchering that thing and started up out of there? Remember that lightning?
Oh, yeah.
Cracked right less than a quarter mile away, and then that hail started?
Yep.
That was pretty impressive. It was the last day archery season.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That same ridge that we were on, I showed you that originally. I shot my first bear right there in that ridge, and I chased a herd elk back in the day. And I was bow hunting. I had no idea what I was doing. But I chased a big bull and a whole herd of cows down off that ridge in there. Nowadays, I don't even know if you can get to it anymore.
Yeah. You can't. Well, it's a long walk in.
It's all blocked off. Yeah.
Yeah. How many, if you had to guess, moose, elk, deer, and bear, how many animals do you think you've killed with a bow?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I think I've shot probably 5 big bulls, moose. Elk, I've probably, with a bow, with compound and recurve, probably a dozen.
Yeah.
Deer, I have no idea. I killed 3 or 4 caribou.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Caribou is so much fun.
Yeah.
Just trying to get near them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, I'd like to hunt them sometime. Yeah, they're always...
Yeah, they're like a big mule deer. That bull there, I shot him, and I shot him a little high, and he ran off. So I started trailing him, and I got up close again. I think I shot him 2 or 3 more times.
For good measure.
Make sure he was dead.
For good measure.
The problem was, when it was butchering out, we had a grizzly bear right there. And our camp was about a mile away. So I told Jeannie, I said, we got to get this meat out here. We're going to have it tomorrow. So we butchered him out, quartered him out, and I started hauling the quarters back to camp. And I got the half of it back to camp, and I got back and still had the front shoulders and stuff to go. And it was getting dark. I said, well, I'll just take the whole thing at once. Well, let me tell you, that's the heaviest chunk of pack I ever
Really?
put on my... I packed it, but just about killed me.
What kind of pack?
How much?
What kind of backpack?
Oh, back in the day with old Trails In,
Yeah.
aluminum pack frame.
Yeah.
They're still one of the best packs they make. You can
Yeah.
lace it on anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about anything ripping out or breaking. I still have them.
So you were living in Sandpoint, hunting around Farragut and stuff. What year did you head up to? Well, now, what was the elk hunting like in the 60s here?
Oh, you know, there was elk up on High Drive. There were some good bulls. Actually, there was quite a few elk up there, but we mostly rifle hunted for the simple reason we wanted meat.
Yeah.
You know, that's bottom line. You didn't buy beef.
Well, I remember you showed me that. You pointed to a ridge one day. We were screwing around up in the mountains. You said, I shot my first 3 elk right there one day.
Yeah. Well, you know, back in the day when you went hunting with everybody, whoever got in the elk, we shot elk. I mean, you didn't shoot over what you had. You were allowed.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, they'd kick your butt when you got back to camp. So you'd get a couple, 3 elk down, and you'd go pack them out.
Yeah. I mean, it was, like you said, it was a poor community.
Oh, it was. It was really poor. You couldn't afford to buy any beef in this town. No, it was poor. Logging and farming was about all they had around here.
Yeah.
And, the logging, you was laid off 90% of the time, it seemed like. Yeah, it was. But, hey, we all survived.
Yeah.
And we're still eating wild meat instead of beef.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
What about that? You got a picture of your brother with an elk hanging, a whole elk.
They shot that
thing is
up,
a giant.
Shot it up Trestle Creek. They killed it up. It was a giant. Shot it right out of the rig. It was up on a slope like that, and they were rifle hunting, of course. It was a monster. I have to.
And we're not talking horns. We're talking body.
Body.
I mean, that thing was a giant.
Humongous, yeah. But there was Gunsight was the first place they planted elk.
Oh yeah.
Over on this side of the mountain range. Not many people hunted up Lightning Creek at all. And you know how steep and rugged and
brushy,
tough,
nasty.
brushy. And not very many people hunted High Drive. Me and a couple of others about the only ones hunted High Drive. But there was elk there, but you had to figure. It took you, back in the day, we didn't get much vacation. If you had a job, you got, if you're lucky, Saturday and Sunday off. I had to work half a day Saturday, so we'd take off noon Saturday and stay overnight and just get a day and a half. So it'd take you all month to end up getting an elk. But back in that day, you could shoot cows or bulls.
Year round, or the whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was either sex the whole season.
Yeah, either sex. Yeah, it was.
What were the whitetails like then?
You know, there was some big whitetail around here. It was.
Yeah.
I don't think there was as many. We see more does and stuff now. You don't see many bucks around anymore at all.
Yeah.
They're going to have to do something there if they want any good bucks again. But yeah, they were here. But there was a lot of big mule deer up high.
Was there?
Yeah. Yeah, God, it was good hunting. It was fun, boy, especially when you're 20 years old and in your prime of life, put your time in the Navy and you was out for a while. Great life, boy. Great life. All the years I spent in Alaska, I still liked it better here.
Yeah. So what year did you head up to Alaska? What brought you up to Alaska?
Well, it's still poor around here. I mean, we worked, but it wasn't good pay, you know. You live from payday to payday totally. I was trying to think when I went up is in, I think it was originally I went up in the 60s and I went to work in a body shop and I did quite a bit of hunting. I stayed up there about 3 years and came back down for a couple of years. Then I went back up and I stayed there till 94 and did a lot of hunting. Quite a while there I didn't hunt because it was work, nothing but work. You couldn't really get off during the pipeline and all that. But then I started hunting again, and Jeannie and I would fly out across over to Lake Clark and over in that country, and we'd take our 3-man tent or 4-man, whatever, 3-man I guess. In fact, you stayed in it, the one we have all the writing of all the hunts we made on in it. I think you used it one time.
I don't think so.
Somebody borrowed it.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, we would stay there 2.5, 3 weeks, and we were bow hunting, and we stayed till we got something. Plane would come check on us, and if we got meat, they'd haul it out, and we had a great time.
So at that point, where are you living? What part of Alaska were you living in?
We were living south of Soldotna, Kenai, and Kasilof.
Yeah.
I was working for the state DOT.
But you were for a while. You were up in Prudhoe Bay, weren't you?
I was up, yeah. It was up.
And that was before you met Jeannie.
Yeah, I met her when I was up there, and we were up above the Yukon River at 7 Mile Camp.
Yeah.
Must have been 3 or 4 years up there, and I met her down at the Howlin' Dog Saloon in Fox, Alaska. She was playing her guitar.
Yeah, and tell people why she was there.
Oh, she had come up the Alaskan with a friend of hers, and she had got divorced from her husband back east. I think he was part of the mafia. She was getting the hell out of the country.
Yeah, she's got some stories.
She does, and so anyway, yeah. And so, that is close to 40 years ago, and we're still together.
What's the trick?
Well, we get along pretty good, as long as I let her be boss. I'm not going to get in trouble again.
Yeah, I know. You and I both got in trouble from a lot of people last time we did this.
She's just a great lady.
Yeah.
She is. And wanting a good hunting and fishing partner, just turn it. There you go. She is one of the best partners I ever had. We'd go shoot a moose. She'd dive right in, help me butcher that out. And I had butchered elk out so long in Idaho. I was used to when we butchered them out. Hell, we quartered them out like we did an elk. Well, we learned to cut the quarters in smaller pieces so we could pack them out. But I would take the top, that roast that you generally cut off a hind quarter. Mm-hmm. I'd put that on her, and she'd pack. That thing weighed 40 pounds, 45 pounds. She'd haul that thing out. So after all day, she'd get to whining, and I'd tell her, you better watch out. I'll put another 10 pounds on you. Gosh, she never hollered. Never. One day we shot a big bull out of Soldotna. We canoed down the Swanson River. Took us 10 hours to get down the river to where we camped.
Wow, 10 hours.
Yeah.
You going upstream or what?
I was going down.
Dang.
And we were checking places out on the way down. So anyway, we got down to where we were going to camp, and we went back into this walked way back in on the trail, and I shot a nice spike. And it had
Spike moose.
Spike moose. It had to be spike or forked horn or 60 or 50 inch. Nothing in between. No 40s or any of that. And they figured that was the breeding stock. And so I killed a spike, and we were packing it out. And on the way out, a big cow was standing in the middle of the trail. Had a collar on her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we were in a burn, and all the blowdowns, we had to go out around that cow, quarter of a mile to get away from her.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, my God, what a job. So finally, we got back to camp and bloody mess, and so Jeannie, she stripped down and jumped in the Swanson River off a beaver pond. And so she lathered up, and she jumps out and stands on the beaver pond buck naked. Here comes a canoe down around the corner. The guy says, "Hey, Jeannie, is that you?"
Oh, no way.
It was her boss from in town. So she scrambled up that muddy beaver pond. It was so funny. I said, "By golly, your bosses really know you, don't they?" Oh, to this day, we razz her about that one. But she's a good hunting partner, and I've had some good partners since. But
well, 3 weeks in a 3-person tent. Yeah.
Never had a problem though. It was.
Yeah.
She just.
What was your gear? So, we're talking mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
So you're flying in. How many pounds you allowed, and what kind of gear you taking?
You was allowed 75 pounds apiece. That included your bow, rifle, shotgun, everything you owned. And so I would start early in the summer, actually, start putting packs together on what to take. And they didn't really have the freeze-dried meals then when we started. If they did, we never seen any. And what we took was, the rice you get in packages, and you just put it with water and boil it up.
Okay.
Packaged rice, that was our main meal. Weighed a lot of rice, but they were light. You could pack a lot of them. And for bread, we made pan bread. We'd use a little sandwich bags, and Jeannie got a recipe from an old timer up there, and we put raisins in it and nuts and stuff, and the flour mix that make the bread.
So it's all dry in the bag.
It's all dry, and put it in little sandwich bags, and we'd take half a dozen or a dozen of them, and all you had to do was mix it with water. And then we'd take bacon and put it in Ziploc bags, to keep it, because we'd bury all this stuff, take an onion sack, and anything that smelled, would put it in an onion sack and bury it in the creek down about 2 feet down.
Oh.
Put a rock on it.
Okay.
Keep the smell out.
Yeah.
And but the big thing that we really took that really was good was butter, believe it or not. That bread took a lot of butter when you fried it up, but it was really good. You just mix it up, get the right density, and put it in the frying pan, cook it on one side, flip it over.
So it's like a pancake.
Yeah, it's a pan bread is what they call it.
Yeah.
Or whole bread. It's from way back in the cotton fields, actually.
Huh.
The guys used to cook it over use a shovel and cook it.
But you're on a gluten-free diet, aren't you?
Yeah, right. And Jeannie would always, one of the most important items we had, she'd cook up a gallon can of cookies.
Oh God, that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah. And so we'd take that in there, and the can we use for everything. Our washing, our heat and water. We had a little pan and
So
stuff
you're talking like
that.
a metal coffee can?
Yeah, gallon.
2 pound or whatever.
Whatever they were, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the most important item we had. I got
Yeah.
hauling water. One thing we did do was take a water purifier.
Okay. Is it like a pump or?
Yeah, and the first few times I didn't know much about it, but pretty easy to get beaver fever over there, and it was getting clogged.
It's
all
Giardia for some
Yeah,
people.
Giardia,
Don't realize
yeah.
It's Giardia.
The pump would always get plugged up, the filter. So I finally learned. We took coffee filters and we'd put a rubber band around them, and then pump it up through that, and we'd take a stack of them, didn't weigh nothing, and so that's how we finally solved that problem. Because every night that was my job, sat there and
What'd you use for stove?
we had the little single burner white gas stove. That's one thing they would allow us to take. I would take 4 gallons of white gas, and they put down the pontoon, so we were allowed a little heavier there, and so we got the little propane stove, and actually we had
propane or white gas?
Or white gas.
Yeah.
We took 2 of them actually, one real light one, but we just took a spare.
Yeah.
And the one we had was a little brass one. It really worked good. We did all our cooking on that. We did we never built a fire. Chopping wood and making a fire was just a lot of work because it was raining there all the time. We would take the small lantern, the little one.
Yeah.
And I would get new jets for it. I would get new pumps, everything, spare parts. And that's what we heated the tent and stuff up with. You had to be really careful, but they're not very big. We'd light that up and get in our tent and hang it from a wire. You could read, it'd warm the tent up. And then when you got done, I'd just put it out. Them good tents have a doghouse to come into.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'd just set it out there and it'd cool off. And that's how we stayed warm, because we were there. That one year we went in end August, and September 8th it dropped down to about 10 above, and 12 above, stayed there for 2 weeks. That's how we stayed warm.
Did it freeze the lake?
Yes. They had a heck of a time get us out of there. They had to break ice. The ice was about 3 inches thick, and they would run it, and it dropped down. I remember Danny said, "Boy, this is so hard with my pontoons."
Yeah.
That was a tough one. Everybody else, we got out. Everybody else, they had to take a helicopter and pick them up, all the other hunters around the country.
Wow.
And the problem is, if a helicopter comes in and picks you up, emergency, you can't take anything. Anything. You have to leave it there and come in the next year and pick it up.
Meat as well?
Everything. You
Wow.
can't. You just can't
that'd
take
be
it.
Devastating.
So, yeah, it was.
Plus, you
tough.
lose all your gear.
There's some, hunting in Alaska. We never thought a lot about it, but it can really be dangerous. You really got to be careful, especially on the brown bear.
Yeah.
They're just not happy guys. They aren't.
Yeah.
We would go to the doctor before we headed out, and we know our family physician really well, and he would prescribe painkillers and needle. He'd give us needle and thread and stuff, really emergency kit. And the main reason, in case you got tangled up with a bear, it had to get sewed up.
Wow.
And that's the reason he gave us the painkillers. We never did use them, but
Yeah.
just it was a good kit, And then we'd take You know that you seen them flares that shoot in the sky? We'd take a couple packs of them.
So signal flares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the gun, you had the
This
gun.
didn't have a gun. It had a thing on the bottom that you pulled and hold it.
Okay.
They would shoot up. Yeah. So we carried them. Back then, they didn't have any telephones. Back then, when you got out in the bush, you were in the bush.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah. You didn't have GPS. You didn't have
Nothing.
nothing. Beacons or nothing like that today.
We got to the point we knew the country really well after there was a mountain right alongside us. We'd climb up there and sit there. We did more hunting with our eyes than we did walking.
Yeah.
Because you get up there with a pair of glasses and you could look all over the country.
So what about clothes? That's pretty minimal, 70 pounds. Or
You know, our main clothes was we'd take a pair of long johns for a change. We wore wool. We took wool clothes.
That's heavy.
Yeah, but regardless, wet or not, you were warm.
Yeah.
One year, they gave us some fleece to try out. That didn't work.
Yeah.
It soaked up water like a sponge.
What about boots?
We wore the knee-high boots, and the ankle fit, the ones that are hard to pull on.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't good. And I would take a pair of waders, hip waders, because when the plane come in, sure, you had to help unload it, so you had to have hip waders. I'd generally pack Jeannie up so she should get off. But yeah, the footwear was really, really important. And back in the day, it was really tough to get rain gear that was any good. And finally, they come out with a rain gear. In fact, I still have it. It was a camo rain gear, Stern.
Oh, yeah.
They came out with it. It was kind of a rubberized, really, and quiet, really good stuff. Then that's what we started wearing. Rained every day, never failed. But, we kind of knew what to take. Even with your wool, wool, you know as well as I do, it drains out. It drains down to the bottom.
Yeah.
If you got a good pair of long johns underneath, you don't get wet, really.
Yeah.
And at night, you just take them off and fold them up where the legs are down where you don't get stuff wet.
So did you typically have the wool pants outside of the boots then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
On the outside so the water would drain off to the outside. That one year it rained so much. Everywhere we went, we were walking in 2 inches of water. And that's where the rubber boots come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's no boots going to hold up to that.
I took a pair there one time, and in a couple of days they were absolutely soaked.
Yeah.
A good pair of Danners. And so one time we built a fire.
There is a good pair of Danners
Well,
in
back
existence?
then, that was back in when they didn't squeak. And anything. They were.
They were made in China, or they weren't made in China.
No, they were made in the U.S.
Yeah.
And, but, I one time we built a fire, so I was going to put them up next to it and dry it. Hell, I burnt the boots. Burnt the soles right off them. I got them dried out. Jeannie and I, we would take a bath every few days, believe it or not. And we had a signal blanket, one of them bright orange signal blankets, and we'd lay it in between a couple of Kelly humps. We'd take that gallon can and heat some water up and pour it in there and get the soap and get in and just take a good bath. And she'd get another bucket, or I would, and pour over you after you're done.
Yeah, buddy.
And I mean warm water.
Yeah.
So one day she says we were camped next to a lake. And when I shot that one great big bull out there, and we had packed in, we needed a bath really bad. And so she says, well, let's just go soap up. We'll take a gallon of warm water down. We'll soap up and jump in the lake. Okay. So I got down there and got wet and soaped up real good and dove into that lake. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I have never jumped in anything so cold in my life. Really? It was in and one circle and back. God, tell you, water is cold, and that was in September.
Going back to the food, you had your pan bread, rice. Did you have any dried meat?
Yeah, we did. You know what we took? You know when you go into Yokes down there, they got that dried sticks.
Yeah.
What are they?
Is that a German name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We would take 3 or 4 pounds of that.
Jagger.
Yes, Jagger.
Elijah knows what it is.
And there was a place in Echo Lakes there in Soldotna that made it.
Yeah.
And we'd take that, and we would take the cheese. They made some of the best cheese. We'd
And you
take
kept
that.
all this under 70 pounds.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
we did. Clothes-wise is where it saved you because they wore most of your clothes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And for jackets were wool too. Everything was wool.
Yeah.
One time I was trying to think, one of the outfits had light wool jackets. They were good. And just right for that time of year. I don't know what happened to them, but starts with a W.
Not Woolrich.
Woolrich.
Yeah.
They had some really good camo jackets and pants out, and that's what we used. They weren't real heavy, you know, but they were still good quality wool. And that's with an extra set of long john. You took 3 or 4 pair of shorts, clean shorts and stuff, you know. But heck, we would wear clothes or whatever it took. And you didn't, hunting over across the inlet, you didn't have to get up at daybreak and go hunting.
Yeah.
We got up when we felt like getting up. Or if we'd hear a moose bellering somewhere, we'd get up. And we'd get up, and Jimmy was out of camp by 9 o'clock, and everything's still moving. Nothing, these critters had never seen a human, so.
What you've killed some pretty big bulls. Did you ever have them put in Pope and Young? You ever score them?
The one bull over at your house,
Yeah.
they wanted me to send into Pope and Young,
Yeah.
and I think this one out here in the shop scores just a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
But I had to pay the freight to get it sent out.
They wanted you to send it in for the 3-year cycle.
Yeah, at their
At their banquet.
at the Pope and Young
convention.
banquet.
Yeah.
Yeah, convention.
So did any of them go in the book?
Yeah, I think they're in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, they got measured for the book.
Yeah. Do you remember what number when they went in?
I think this one out here is. This one was 16th place for a long time.
That's what I remember you telling me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking big bulls.
Oh, these are big bulls. Yeah.
We're not talking barely making the book. We're talking big bulls.
No, these, and I wasn't hunting for a big bull. I was hunting for a moose.
Yeah.
I was hunting for a spike. It was a lot lighter to pack out.
Yeah.
But I only run into one spike, and I never got a shot at him. But we were in country where we were in actually a pretty high country, and that's where the bulls were hanging out until the rut tuned in, and then they started hunting for cows. There was no cow season then.
Did you guys ever have any bear problems?
The only a couple of them, yeah. The one time, Jeannie and I'd been hiking out through the tundra country, and her knee was really bothering her. So she said, I think I'll stay in camp. And she was sewing up some moccasins out of some beaver I'd caught years before. And she took and she said, I'll just stay here. I said, well, do you want anything before I'm going to go check out where we seen that moose yesterday. She said, no. She says, how about a cup of tea? So we always kept the cook shack about 50 yards from the tent. I went up there and boiled up a pot of water and got her some tea and took it down to her. So I crawled in, handed her the tea. I said, is that going to do you? She said, yeah. I said, well, it won't be too long, a couple hours. She said, all right. I backed out of the tent and turned around. Here's a brown bear standing up looking at me.
Really?
I just about had a heart attack. Well, I packed a 44 all the time. They have what they call a bear load in Alaska. It's solids, 328 grain solids. I yanked that out of the holster. The bear was as scared as I was. I shot straight up in the air. I didn't want to shoot at him.
Yeah.
And he hightailed it. I could see him still steaming up over the mountain. But he was as surprised as I was.
Yeah.
They were there all the time.
Yeah.
The one time that we did we'd been sitting in camp that night, and we'd ate dinner and getting ready to go to bed, and we looked up the mountain, and over in that country, you could see the country change every day, the colors, getting in the fall. And I said, oh, look at that bull going up that ridge, and a big bull. We'd seen some bulls, but nothing legal. I said, that's where we're going tomorrow morning. So we headed out and headed up that ridge. And we got up that ridge.
Now, let me stop you there. What are you carrying for bear protection besides the 44?
Oh, Jeannie's carrying 12 gauge with slugs in it.
What, like an 870 or something?
870.
Yeah.
One of the old model 870s.
Oh yeah, the good ones. The
good
Wingmaster. I've got one.
Old
Yep.
Wingmaster.
Yep.
With a short slug barrel on it.
Yeah.
And so she, her and I head up, and we get up the ridge. Well, I called a bull in right up on the ridge, but he was, probably only maybe 46, 47 inches. One of them iffies that you didn't shoot.
Yeah.
And so we went, I said, well, let's work on up. That's not the same bull I seen. So we worked on up, and we come to an opening that it just tore up. It, maybe 100 by 100. I mean, there was limbs that were 4 inches around, broke. Trees. I said, oh my gosh. Jeannie says, give a moose call. So I give a couple of cow calls, and I see this animal go through the brush away from us. And hell, that high off the ground, big,
like,
wide, the back end of it.
4 foot. You just held your hand about 4 foot.
Yeah, 4 or 5 foot. And I look at it, I said, there goes a moose. Jeannie says, bear to our right. And here stands up this bear. Honest to God, he had a head like a horse tub. And he's looking at us like this. So I started talking to him. Hey, bear, don't worry about it, bear. And so Jeannie, she's got that thing ready to shoot. I said, don't shoot. And he looks at us, and you could see him turn away from us and go down.
Yeah.
And we knew we were all right.
Yeah.
And we were in really thick stuff. I said, let's get out of here. And so we worked on down the ridge and dropped into the bottom toward camp. We got down in there, and there was a couple of fool hens, a little rooster with a couple of hens. Well, I got to tease him. I pulled a floof out and was going like shaking the feathers at him, and he was all ruffled up, ready to fight. So I asked Jeannie, you want to take a fool hen back camp for supper? And no, we shot one yesterday. That's enough. I said, okay. So we headed out, and we're walking back camp, and we had to cross a beaver dam. And just before we got to beaver dam, there was 2 different ponds, and I was looking in the one pond, and I see this fish duck. And I was telling Jeannie, I said, what the heck's fish duck doing there? There was no water in it last year.
So there's no fish.
No.
Yeah.
She hit me between the shoulder blades and just about knocked me flat. She says, we're getting charged. I turned around, and here come this brown bear at us. I mean, his feet are passing his ears. And Jeannie's hauled down and let fly, man. She must have put that slug right between his ears because he veered off to one side. So she pumped another one in. Don't shoot him. And he went off to one side. He disappeared that fast.
How close was he when he passed you guys?
No, probably 6 feet.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're saying don't shoot?
No, I didn't want to. I could see him heading off to the one side. And he was a young bear. Maybe 300-400 pounds. But still big enough to make lunch meat out of you.
Yeah.
But that's the closest we've come.
Now, Jeannie's just a tiny little thing.
Oh, she weighed, at the time, maybe 110 pounds.
And she's working the action on that 870, no problem.
I told her at the time, she always had wet mittens on.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't know if I can pump this if I have to. I said, hon, when you pump it, slam that thing open and slam it closed. Heck, she shucked that thing out 20 feet. She was down on it. She was ready to shoot again. Bless her heart. She was a good partner.
So she probably just missed on the first round?
She missed on the first shot, thank God.
Yeah.
All I needed was a squalling, wounded bear.
Yeah, and then
But she had no choice. We had to do. It would have nailed us.
What do you think? What do you think he was doing?
I think he thought we was a caribou.
Why?
Well, we had she had a gray jacket on, a gray hat, And I really kind of think it might have thought we was a caribou or a moose.
Yeah.
It was hungry. And the reason she knew that bear was charging us, just before it got there, a grouse or a fool hen went by us. When the bear had run down, they'd kicked up a bird and it come by us. And Jeannie just happened to look back like that and seen the bear.
Oof.
We never heard it.
Really?
Yeah. So we just put it under a belt, went back to camp, slept a little lighter that night.
Yeah.
But we, of all the nights, we never had any food, anything in the camp. If we killed a moose, up at the cook shack, we stripped, put clean clothes on, washed up, and then went back down to the tent.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, nothing, boy, it smelled like food. And that one morning we woke up, and you could hear the slap. We were right on the edge of the lake, maybe 10 feet from it, you could hear an animal walking in the water. And I told you, listen. And I thought it was a moose. So I lifted up the curtain of the tent like that. I always had the pistol right here and the shotgun right here. Here's a big bull caribou walking right by camp. So I took the old 44, boom!
Right in the tent?
Yeah, I shot him right behind the ear.
Nice.
Well, it's good meat, man. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
turn that down. So I thought, oh my God, here I got a caribou right in camp.
Oh, yeah.
So we pulled it up on the beach and gutted it out, and laid everything right there. I skinned it right there, and we took the hide and we put it back in the water and put all the guts, everything back in, and floated it down the other end of the lake.
Nice.
And pulled it up on shore, and then we took the meat and hung it. Next morning, that hide, everything was gone.
Really?
Yeah, there was bears there. They just never, ever bothered us.
Yeah.
But we took, and the day we were leaving, we'd been there, 2.5 weeks. We shot a bull and a big bull caribou and a bull moose. They had brought in some other guys that were going to hunt bear. And we had to leave a couple of hindquarters off caribou because he didn't have enough room in the plane to haul out. He said, I'll pick it up tomorrow when I come in. And he flew back in the next day. The bear had come in, camped that night, and stole that caribou.
Oh.
With them guys there. And they were in, that's what they was in there, to kill a brown bear. They never seen a thing the whole time they were there. I can remember the guy was about 7 foot tall.
Well, do you think that people just they just overthink the bear thing? They just let it get in their heads? I mean, you did it obviously
we never,
for years.
We never thought much about it. We made that hunt I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
And the one trip with that young bear is the closest we ever come to really having a problem. And I think the biggest thing is just keeping a clean camp. One of the first things we did when we got there, we'd get between two trees. Of course, I was young then. I would climb up and get a pole up there with a pulley on it. That's where all the food was. Mm. Yeah, we pulled it up.
You had some in the water?
Yeah, we'd take the bacon and stuff like that and put, a lot of times it was 60 degrees over there at that time of year.
Yeah.
And anything like that, perishable, would sink it down in the bottom of the creek there. Mm-hmm. But everything else would go up in the sack up above. We just pulled it up with a pulley on it. It worked great. Mm. The year Dale, Di, and I went the same thing. We did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got a pretty good bull there.
Yeah,
Dale.
got a big bull.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dale. When he shot it, I just, I still didn't know if it was a legal bull or not.
Oh man.
One thing about Alaska, boy, you don't want to shoot unless you're sure. They don't take, I thought it was, for an answer. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost you if you make a mistake. So I had called in 6 or 7 bulls for him, nothing legal. So we went back down to the swamp that night, and we got down there. I put him over in one place where I thought the bull would come from. If he didn't come, and I started calling. And most guys, they would sound like a bull. Not us. We cow call, and most of them bulls rather fight a cow than fight.
Yeah.
So we would what we would do is cow call. Then we always took a scapula off a bull with this all dried out and rub it up and down an old dry tree, and sound just like an antler going up and down. The bull can't resist it. He has to come in and see what's going on. So I called, and I seen this bull coming in, and I couldn't tell if it's wide enough or it had enough brow tines. It had to have 4 brow tines in.
Wow. For
a non-resident. And so finally it walked up by Dale, and actually Dale shot that bull at 30 yards, 35 yards. Made a perfect hit on it.
That's one thing, those moose, our moose aren't nearly as big. Shiras are not nearly as big as Alaskan.
No.
When you see an Alaskan, unless you have a lot of brush and stuff to get a depth perception, they're so deceiving because
It's
they're
hard
so
to
damn
tell.
tall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, big bears are the same way.
Yeah.
But anyway, he made a perfect shot. The only thing I could think about, I'd tell, God, Dale, I hope it's big enough.
Oh, that's really cool when your partner says that to you.
Yeah.
Nice shot, but I'm not sure it's big enough.
He did. He made a perfect shot. I think it only went maybe 40 yards.
Really?
So we got up there, and it was legal. It was a 57-inch bull. And
And it had to be 50?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
had to be 50 or 4 brow
Yeah.
tine.
Yeah.
And that's pretty hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
So we got him all laid out, gutted out, and cleaned up. And we would take a stake and drive in the ground there with ribbons on it so we'd know if something come in at night, another bear, he'd knock that down trying to get it to the gut pile.
So when you come back the next day, you're glassing that,
You
looking
bet.
for that ribbon.
Looking for the ribbon. So we got down the next morning, got up to the bull. It was really cold and frosty, and we were admiring what a great job we did and everything. So I hear this snort behind us, turn around, here comes another bull. Well, the bull wasn't big enough to shoot. He was only a maybe 36-inch bull, but he wouldn't leave. He smelt that other bull on the ground. And I had the shotgun, and Dale had his pistol, and here we're hollering at him, trying to get rid of it. That bull had never seen a human. He could have cared less. He got up within about 10 or 11 yards from us,
Ooh.
and I shot in the air with a shotgun. That didn't even faze him. So I was getting ready to shoot that cotton picker, and he finally turned around and just walked off and looked around and looked. I thought we were going to have a real problem there.
Really?
Yeah.
Of all the years and all the trips.
the years.
Yeah. Wow.
So we finally took and got it skinned out. Then and now when
you guys were the same age, or
Yep.
are the same age.
we're the same, he's a year older than I am.
Yeah, and at this time, you guys aren't young spring chickens. How old were you?
Oh, we're 60 some then, 65,
Yeah.
and I had just tore my shoulder out totally. Remember that spring?
I do, yeah.
And I'd had it rebuilt. I was only shooting a 50-pound bow then. Yeah, I got so I could shoot a 50-pound bow. So the problem was it was when I put the pack on with them big heavy loads, it hurt my shoulder so bad. I accused Dale of packing the antlers back and forth every trip because all the pictures we got, he's packing the antlers, I'm packing the meat. So when you butcher out a moose in Alaska now, you have to take everything, and there's no fooling when I say everything. When you take the quarters off, you can cut quarters off at the joint, but you got to have the whole quarter. I mean, you can cut that on the very bottom. You can cut it off, but you got to have that whole quarter.
Really?
Yep. And the ribs, got to have bring the ribs out or cut every bit of the meat off. So what we did, we stripped that. There's nothing left on it. Them ravens were going to be upset with us.
Wasn't there an issue about a Snickers bar? Involved there?
The thing we took every year was Snicker bars. You talk about something that's good. Well, I took a whole, in my load, I didn't tell him, I took a whole box of them. And I would have Snickers every day. Well, he only took a few.
What's your blank there?
So
yeah.
So we're heading out. We'd had this moose all down, butchered out. We had to go pack it in. And so as we're going, I'm in the lead. And I get out a Snicker bar out of my pocket and undo it and start eating. Dale says, "What you eating?" "Nothing." "You son of a gun, you got a Snickers bar." It was so funny how that come down. He never let me forget it.
No, I know.
I gave him a Snicker bar, just get him quit
You
crying.
shared?
I shared with him, yeah. But you talk about a pick-me-upper.
Yeah.
But we got that whole thing back to camp and got it hung. We hung it at the opposite end of the lake. A lot of bears signing around. So we hung it on a ridgepole, and a few days later, the cub come in to haul us out in the meat. That was the time the cub had to make a couple passes at the lake and get off when I got
Really? Yeah, I don't think we told everybody that you and Dale went up. You were living in Idaho at that time.
Yeah. I'd
And
come
you guys
back down.
went back up as non-residents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good trip. We had a lot of fun.
Did you just go the once with you and him?
No, we went twice.
Yeah.
We went on
The second time it was not very.
No, it
Yeah.
was really bad second time.
Yeah.
We went caribou hunting, and they dropped us off at a lake, and there was caribou around, not a lot, but another outfitter come in. They started dropping hunters in, rifle hunters. Well, that took care of our hunt. And we were there for 2 weeks and never got close to anything. Mm-hmm. And we hunted hard. My God, we were walking miles to get away from everybody and still. So one day we did get into a big herd of caribou, and they were coming right at us. And here goes a rifle shot. Somebody had come up the river in a boat. Mm. It was over toward Dillingham. That took care of that. They just poor. That was the worst trip I ever made.
So all your years, so you're up in Alaska over 20 years, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Were you involved in the state organization up there with the Fish and Game? Were you involved at all?
Yeah, kinda. I was elected into the Fish and Game Advisory Board. Mm. I did a couple terms on that. Everybody hates you when you're on that.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants something. But yeah, it was interesting. It was kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
The meetings get kind of rowdy, and my son-in-law, he's one of the head guys for Fish and Game in the commercial fishery. So.
Right now.
Yeah, now, yeah, and he was in too.
Yeah. Oh, really? Man, he's done that for a long time now.
Oh yeah, he's getting ready to. He's about ready to retire.
Wow.
Yeah, getting close. Yeah. So it's. I appreciate the Fish and Game in Alaska. They work hard to take care of that game up there.
Yeah.
I really don't knock them for what they do, because there's a lot of outlaws in that country. You get a lot of people that go to Alaska, and they think they can get away with anything, but they can't. That Fish and Game is on top of it all the time. Them state police up there are the game wardens.
Yeah.
They don't have a separate unit. It's state police. They go to the same academy and the whole works. But when you kill a moose and they tell you have to bring the whole thing out, except the bones, you got to strip it. You better strip it. They'll weigh it. They'll fly back in where you hunted, and they'll look at the carcass. Mm. So you do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's what we've done all our life in Idaho here. Yeah. We never left nothing in the woods. Only difference here is you could generally pack it out 4 quarters.
Yeah.
There. You have to cut the quarters in half to get them out.
Yeah. What about were you part of the Alaska Bow Hunters Association? Or?
Yeah, I was. In fact, we had a club there, Kenai Archers. I was president of that for a couple of terms. I wasn't there when they vote you in. That's the way it generally works. Yeah. But we had a good club. We had a lot of fun. And we had a lot of people. And we had the borough up there gave us a lot of land that was condemned because there was a dump near there. Mm. And they gave us a lot of property, put a range on, and had a house there that we used for our clubhouse, which was really great of them. I thought,
wow.
Yeah, it was a good deal. Whether they still have it or not, I don't know. And then I belonged to the Alaska Archery Association. They had a big banquet every year for who shot the biggest moose and all that archery,
Yeah.
It was.
Did you ever get that?
Yeah, I got it once or twice. So Glenn St. Charles awarded me my trophy that year, along with a cactus when I killed my wife's Christmas cactus in the house.
Oh, Jiminy's, I can't forget to ask you. I don't want to jump all over the place, but didn't you? Was it your first Black Widow that you?
No, I had Black Widow.
That you dropped the string on?
I was like everybody else when you're younger. I was 40-some years old, and I had to have a 70-pound pair of limbs.
Nice.
So I ordered a pair of 70-pound limbs from Black Widow, and
that would have been Ken at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They finally showed up, so I put them on my riser and got an arrow, and I told Jeannie, I pulled it back a couple times, about halfway, and it's pretty stout. I said, Jeannie, honey, watch and see if I pull this back all the way. So I pulled it back. When I just got it back, the darn thing released. I let her go. I couldn't hold it. So when it went through, it shot through the Christmas cactus and out one of the big windows out in the patio. And Jeannie says, all right, I'm looking. Where's the arrow? I said, I got a problem here. She says, what do you mean? I said, look at your window. So the window broke out one corner of a big pane glass window, double pane. So, oh, goodness.
So you got good penetration.
Yeah. And it was at the time, about 20 below zero. I says, I got to go patch this up outside and get a patch
Oh, you
on.
didn't get upset, did you?
Oh, well, no, because I didn't want her to hit me or anything. She wouldn't. Anyway, she didn't really say a whole lot. So I took and went out, and before I went up, I says, don't you tell anybody what I did. I won't.
Yeah.
So I went outside with some tape and 90-mile-an-hour tape and stuff. In the meantime, she called my brother up and told him up at Anchorage. She
It
hung
didn't
up.
take long.
And so I come back in the house. It was cold out. And the phone rings, so I answer it. And my brother is, hey, Pete, I just heard you killed a great big pane window. I have to tell you, that was a tough one to live down. Well, I tell you, I had them limbs sold the next day. 70 pounds is too much for this kid. Holy smokes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you draw what, 26 and a half? They're probably
26 and a half.
70 at 28.
Yeah. So when we went to the Alaska banquet, and Glenn St. Charles was our guest, and he handed out all the trophies that year. Well, that year I'd been fortunate enough I killed the biggest moose by archery. And I went up to get my trophy, and he gave me he said, oh, by the way, we got something else for you here. We heard you're a heck of a cactus killer, and we want to give you this cactus to take care of the one you killed. So, yeah, we had good times.
Yeah.
Archery was big in Alaska. I don't know.
So at this convention or banquet, how many people? A couple hundred?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In
Jay
fact,
Massey?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I met him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was checking my arrows out. I made a lot of custom wood arrows.
Did he approve of them?
Yeah, he said they look pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't get too carried away, but yeah, he was a different fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, most people know that.
Yeah. Yeah. But he did love archery. Got to give him that.
Yeah.
I was in a different world than
Doug
him.
Borland? I mean, names that have been in Alaska for a long time.
he was up there too. Yeah. Yeah, we had a table set up during the day. The banquet started in the morning, and we had a table set up with all the stuff if you want to sell stuff and let people see it and stuff. And I made a lot of good-looking custom arrows in the day.
Yeah.
And there's some there. They're 40 years old, and right here in the bucket. And I took and
Are those mine?
no, they're not
Are you
yours.
sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. Just checking.
You can have them if you want, though. But all them guys would come looking at them.
Yeah.
But I guess I was different than Jay Massey. I just thought different in my archery than he did. He came down here several times. Dale Dye knows him pretty well too. Knew him pretty well. He was really down on the cattlemen in this country over there in Montana where they grazed, and they had forever.
Yeah.
He was not a happy camper all the time.
Yeah.
But he did love archery, and I liked his books. He wrote pretty good books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your arrows, you don't make many wood arrows. There's just not much of a market for them anymore.
There's a bit of a market, but you can't get really good wood anymore.
Yeah. Well, I got you those Sherwood shafts,
Yeah.
those fur shafts.
Yeah.
Those things are amazing.
I still got a lot of 100-pound spine shafts. I got boxes of shafts around.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody
Oh.
might hear this. And you talking cedar?
Now a lot of I got some cedar, and I've got also got Doug fir. The
Yeah.
Doug fir really straight. Remember the arrows we made out of Doug fir? That one you used for stump shooting and stuff. That thing lasted
Tough?
you forever.
Tough?
Yeah.
That's because I hit the stump. Not like you.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Like the squirrel runs down the
Oh,
stump, and you say, "Don't shoot that squirrel."
I did too.
And who did?
No, so this is an education in instinctive archery for all those that face walk, never done instinctive archery. the arrow will go where you're looking.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what you're looking, even
Yeah.
if you're not looking at what you want to hit, it's going there. So I think we were down in Orofino.
We were.
And it's when turkey hunting was first coming on in Idaho.
Brand new.
And so we were slipping around some of that log stuff. It was old mossy stuff. And remember, we had that hen come in. And we'd never seen turkeys before. You know, and I'm whispering to you, I'm scared to death you're going to shoot that thing. And I'm like,
It was close enough.
It's a hen. Don't shoot. It's a hen. So anyways, it walks off. And we were walking out of there. And we're stump shooting. Everywhere you and I went, we would stump shoot.
Yep.
And we come up to this stump. And there was a squirrel standing on the stump. And it's a big stump. And you said, watch this. I'm going to hit that squirrel. I said, man, don't shoot the squirrel. Why would you want to shoot the squirrel? It's just don't kill him for nothing. And you kind of rolled your eyes and you shot the stump. Well, about then the squirrel got nervous and I was going to shoot the stump. Swear I was going to shoot the stump. And then we're talking a big stump. We're talking 3.5, 4 footer. I missed the stump by however big the squirrel was, because that squirrel, I took him on the run and drilled him on the run, running off that thing, and you were so pissed off. Why the hell did you shoot the squirrel? You wouldn't let me shoot the squirrel. Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
That reminds me, Dale and I went over to the Big Hole over out of Wisdom, Montana.
Yeah.
And hunting elk. We back up above this swamp, a lot of good elk trails. And so Dale put a tree stand back in there, and I had another one down in the bottom. So he went up there and one evening and sat, and we met back up about dark. I said, "Do any good?" He said, "No, but I got a shot at a bull." He said, "I didn't hit him, but," and well, how far was he? He says, only maybe 28, 29 yards. I said, "What do you mean you didn't hit him?" He said, "I just missed him." I said, "You're kidding me." So we hunted we stayed there another week and didn't do any good. So we went back up to get his tree stand, and the last day there, he climbed down out, and a tree squirrel had been giving him hell all day long, chattering and screaming. Well, it had run up a tree about 25 yards from him, and Dale just nailed it with a judo point. You couldn't hit him anymore, dead center. So we went back there, and Dale showed me where he shot the squirrel. I says, "My God, Dale, you miss a bull elk closer than that, and you hit a squirrel." He has never lived that one down. them are good times. And I think of the hunts that you and I went on. You didn't have to kill something to have fun. We'd climb down them mountains down there, trying to get an elk in.
Well, there was a reason why we didn't kill anything.
Yeah.
Because it's not always Snickers that you eat. We lay a bull up. I really, through all the years that we hunted together, we didn't hunt a lot together, but we hunted together. And it's my dream to call a bull in for you. And we were working a bull up in this north slope in a basin, and the bull had laid up, and that's a good tactic, man. It's like, boom, he's bedded right there with his cows. We're just going to hang here, and we'll get him when he gets up. So that's the plan. We're less than 100 yards from this.
So
thing.
here he says we're sitting there. And he said, "Well, let's eat lunch." I said, "Great idea." So I got my pack, and I opened the can of Kippers.
Kippered snacks.
You ought to heard him.
Holy crap! We're not trapping raccoons. Rick, could you think of anything stinkier?
I was hungry.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we never got the bull.
Do you remember the day we were walking across that ridge below where you used to camp, and it was hotter than hell? Oh, and we're on that Ceanothus, and it's just, the heat is just boiling up, and I generally did all the calling, and I said, "Yeah, I'll go ahead and try bugling that thing." Well, in the middle of the friggin' day, it's hotter than hell.
Gave a cow call.
Yeah. No, did you? I don't remember. I thought you bugled. But anyways, it's not like we're ready. This flippin' bull comes running in, Mach 9. All I could do was take a knee, and I was silhouetted, and he just stood there and looked at me for a second.
Yeah.
Fell out of there.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Then I tried to call the moose in. You got all excited. We had a big bull up on top of a ridge.
And it was still pretty dark. We were just getting going.
And he was a big bull.
Yeah, and he didn't need to be called in any closer.
He was
like
fired
8 yards. He didn't need it. He was like, so what are you doing? I'm trying to call him in. I'm like, well, how much more in do they get? He's pretty much in. He was raking a tree just on the other side of the tree from us.
Yep.
Man, I don't.
There's more to hunt. There's more to hunting than killing.
He was in, and then that tree stand's probably still down there. When I packed your tree stand into a wallow one day, and got you set up, get tree stand set up, and I went back and walked out to the wallow, and pretty soon here, stinking judo right over the head. Like, what are you doing? Oh, just checking. Shoot a judo.
Never
right
did
over
see
my head.
anything in it. Man, I spent hours in that.
That's, you know what? That is geographically speaking, that is such a unique spot. The way it lies, that is the coldest stinking spot in lower 48.
Yeah.
That sun never hits that little draw.
Little draw right there.
You know, I went back in there probably 10 years ago. I walked down through there, and I couldn't even find that wall. It's
really?
Gone. Yeah. Yep, it's gone.
Well, that was a nice crick run through there at the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, I hunted there when I was just a kid. The time he hauled me around the mountain up there where you used to go.
No, that was, even Jack will attest to that. We call that the fat man hunt. It's downhill all the way, both ways.
Yeah, right.
It is.
Till you go up the other side.
It is downhill both ways, all the way to the truck. You leave the truck going downhill, you get to the truck coming down.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, we've had some good hunts, Rob. We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had some good 3D shoots.
Oh, I love the 3D shoot.
Yep.
Getting together.
That's what I was going to say. So what are you shooting today? What's your typical setup? Because you are an arrow guy. I mean, that's your...
You know, I'm still shooting a Blackwidow, but I did order a new bow from Trent Winger. He made the mistake of stopping by and showing me one he just built.
He had a bow. He had that, called me and said, no, I don't want to see it.
Oh, gotta tell you, that kid is outstanding. His craftsmanship is something. So anyway, after I had that triple bypass and that operation, tore my shoulder out, all happened in 2 years. I just got back. I started back out on a 45-pound Widow, and I got so I can shoot it really well. And I'm back up to 48 pounds on my Widow now. In fact, the other day I was shooting my 50-pounder.
Really?
So yeah, it's been a kind of a struggle to get back there. I can't shoot arrow after arrow for an hour or two like I used to, but yeah, I can still go out and shoot a dozen shafts.
So when are we going on our first shoot? When do you want to bet on it?
Yeah, you still owe me $1.50.
Jeez.
Tell them about the time we climbed down the mountain in the middle of nowhere and then shot all the way back up.
This is the alleged, where you allege that I owe you money.
Yes.
My God.
We went down. It was good elk country. We just couldn't find an elk.
Have you ever heard of the statute of limitations?
Yeah. So on our way back up, where we hunt is steep. It's a walk.
We hadn't really hunted over there, and that is a steep.
Oh.
I never went back. That was stupid steep.
You walk 20 feet and you blow for 3 or 4 minutes.
Man. Yeah.
So to kill time, you shoot all the way back up.
Yeah.
Stump shoot. So there's this limb leaning up against this tree.
We were shooting for quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this thing must have been, I'd say 30 yards away anyway, a good 30, 35 yards. I get done, it'll be 40. Anyway, I said, Rob said, right there, see the limb? Hit it. $1.50. All right. I shot and nailed it. Rob shot and missed. I don't think to this day I've got that $1.50.
I think I've paid you about 6 times over the years.
Over the years?
Yeah.
Well, the interest.
Yeah. I guess. They're paying my loan off, I guess.
I tell you, we've had some good hunts. I hate to say I'm getting older. I turned 81 in January, but, I'm waiting for fall. I put in for my elk tag over in Montana again, so we'll see what happens. I'm putting in for a cow tag here again this year. Hey, I can still pull my bow. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years ago did you kill that bull? The last big bull you killed in Montana?
16. It was in 16. And right after that next spring is when I fell on the ice out here and tore my shoulder out.
So you were what, 77?
77 then.
Yeah.
78, somewhere 77, 78.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good 6-point. I know it's 300-inch bull, isn't it?
And I got a 6-point the year before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The only thing is when you get older, you hunt smarter.
Yeah.
I do a lot of tree stand hunting. I still got tree stands up, and I'm really careful. I got safety lines, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm tied in from the ground up, and it's a lot easier than I can't climb the mountains like I used to. But hey, I'll use a blind, whatever it takes. I think if you get a blind out early enough and get it camouflaged in, it'll work just as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You never quit. I tell you, archery has been my life.
Yeah.
It really has.
It's not a bad. It keeps you out of trouble.
Oh, I don't know about that. Not according to my wife. Now, it's one of the greatest sports. I had a guy in here yesterday. We sold him an inexpensive recurve, but they got recurves out now for a couple of $100 that are really good little bows.
Yeah.
They're as good as anything we ever used to shoot. And I'll tell you, for little or nothing, you can get a recurve and some arrows and finger tab, and you're going to have a ball.
Yep.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be complicated.
No. Compounds anymore is complicated.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the sights and the levels and the the stuff they go through. And these, archery wasn't designed to hunt at 100 yards.
No.
Archery was designed to learn how to stalk and hunt.
Yeah. And you're speaking through, I don't think we mentioned it. I mean, you've had an archery shop we did, since 94.
Yeah.
You were a number 40 dealer for Matthews, right?
My number is 122.
Oh, okay.
That's down.
Yeah.
That's way down there.
Yeah, you started with Matthews, so you've been working on compounds, and you've been in the thick of it for years.
Yep. You hear all the best and the worst of it, so.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the archery. I have to say I don't handle crossbows.
Yeah.
I don't believe they belong in the archery seasons. If they wanted to, I don't care if anybody shoots them, but they should have had either the rifle season or their own season.
Yeah.
Archers fought too long and hard to be able to have a archery season.
Yeah.
To just give it away. And I think back east there in the Midwest, they're learning that they might have made a mistake, because all the guys that used to be archers now, they just got rid of their bows and they're buying crossbows.
Yeah. That was it was. They said, "Oh, it'll bring more people into the sport." Well, yeah. We don't need. Yeah.
We all learn. We all learn.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate your friendship and. This, and anybody listening, this is when I mentioned like a mentor. This is what I'm talking about is Pete. I didn't know arrow spine. I didn't know crap when I met you. I was shooting a 70-pound Martin Super Diablo.
Yep.
Shooting 2013s.
Yep.
I'm freaking just about dry firing that bow all the time. So yeah, he got me straightened away. And,
It was more bow than Rob was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of bow.
Yeah.
In fact, we shot against, remember the kid we shot against in down Coeur d'Alene, Farragut, and he shot that 70-some pound bow.
Justin Pillows.
And he was really good.
Oh, he was dang good.
First half an hour or so.
Yeah.
Then it was
a good shot.
Then it was done. The first few shots, he was good.
Yeah.
Some guys can do it, but no, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
I used to shoot, I think it was 62 pounds all the time. Then over the years, I've just gradually went down. I'm working at 50 right now.
Yeah. Well, the bows are so much more efficient and string material.
We were
arrows.
mentioning arrows. I am shooting full metal jackets that 4mm with titanium outskirts on them.
Yeah.
Well, I really like them.
Yeah.
And if you get the titanium outskirts, they're expensive, but you can buy the aluminum ones too. It'll drop the price down a little. They're a little lighter, but I like the full metal jackets. I like the weight. I find if you got the weight and weight up front on arrows, really stabilizes them out when you're shooting. Makes them come alive. That good penetration. I try and talk guys in when they come in the shop. I ask them what weight points are broadheads. Oh, 100 grain. I said, man, you're hunting elk. I'd go a little heavier if you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, well, I thank you, Rob.
No.
I thank you.
Been trying to get you to sit down and do this, and today I just walked in, set it up.
Yeah,
we're doing.
I'm making arrows.
Yeah, we're gonna BS. Yeah. Well. Cool. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
All right.